Fred.
Yep.
We're good? Is that a good spot? Everybody else? Okay.
If you can just, step as close as you can. I know it seems odd, but speak into the stick.
Right, speak into the stick. Okay. So, South Valley Road Fire was identified at around 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Currently, we're calling it 15,000 acres. Late in the day yesterday, we had approximately 150 firefighters, plus about 150 local folks from the Columbia Rural Ranchers Group working the fire. Yesterday was a big aviation day here. Most of you have heard we had 3 heavy retardants, a VLAT, and approximately 4 other aircraft working suppression on the fire, in addition to a heavy helicopter and a medium-sized helicopter. So there were the main point there is we had a really successful response as far as numbers of people, resources that were put on the ground. It was a wind-driven fire, similar to recent fires in the area here. The wind was out of the northwest, so the fire's traveling to the southeast. It moved, ballparking this, 5 to 7 miles in about a 4 to 5 hour period. So the tactics were focused on flanking the fire and on point protection. Let's see.
You said 15,000 acres?
15,000 acres at this point. We can point on the map if that'll work for your cameras. Do we want to move this? You want me to take this with?
Yeah.
Oops, okay, that's good. So the origin point is over on the northwest corner of the fire. The pink is our estimated perimeter. And again, that's estimated perimeter. And as you can see, the wind came in from the northwest. Fire pushed to the southeast. Yesterday's, like I mentioned, the efforts were on point protection and flanking the fire. Retardant hit pretty heavy over here. Dozer line was constructed over in this area. Last night, a burnout operation was done in this south east corner of the fire.
Any idea how many structures have been lost?
And Stefan's going to focus on that, so why don't we trade out when you want to come in and Stefan, and so that's kind of the basic 101
Can you
on
describe the area, trees, grass?
Okay, sure. I'll just finish with that, yeah. Stefan, and then, so...
Please go close to the mics if you can, sorry.
Okay, so basically we're in oak and ponderosa pine, and then oak and ponderosa pine, then wheat fields with some that have been harvested to stubble, others not. So depending on if you're in the valleys or on the hills. So, okay, Stefan.
Stephen Myers, I'm with the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. Just want to let you know, the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office has been deployed to this fire. We brought an incident management team, as well as 3 task force that came in last night. We have 3 more task force that are on the way. Those are coming from several counties throughout our state. We are going to be focused on saving structures that are in the line of the fire, as well as life safety out here. At this point, we do know we've lost structures. We don't have an exact number of how many have been affected, as well as whether they were dwellings or outbuildings. So we'll be working to get those updated. At this point, we have 80 to 100 homes that are currently under threat from this fire. And then additionally, we have about 400 people that are being affected by level 3 evacuations. So a lot of people are being impacted. This is also a community that has recently seen a lot of fire activity. So we want to make sure that we are working with the locals here to get information on where the fire is moving and what resources we have here, and just marrying up with the current efforts that are happening.
In terms of containment, do you have a percentage yet?
Our containment as of this morning was 5%.
What makes you think this fire is human caused?
Yeah, at this point, It's likely that this is human caused. We feel comfortable with that, but we have an investigative process that's going to be undertaken that's going to look at all of the information as far as burn patterns and area of origin. So that's going to be a process they're going to work through to get more information around that. But at this point, we feel comfortable with this is likely human caused.
Can you talk about where it started?
Yeah, it actually started not too far from us on a South Valley Road in this area. So a little bit interior. You're looking in this area on the fire. Okay.
I mean, is it, when you say not too far, like this first stretch of homes you come to around the corner?
Yeah, so we're here.
Yep.
And area origin is generally in that location. So.
And you know, we've talked a lot about how it's really dry out there and windy, and this is kind of the start of a very long and potentially drawn out fire season.
Yeah.
Can you speak to how firefighters are feeling right now? I mean, this is the third kind of larger fire in this exact area.
Yeah, I think first of all, we're focused on this community here who has continually been impacted this season. Sheriff was even talking last night, and just this last month, they've seen a amazing amount of fire, and he hasn't seen these kind of conditions since '77, and he grew up in this area. So we're looking at really challenging conditions, not only in this area, but across the state. Preparedness level is currently at a level 5, which means we have lots of resources and lots of incidents that are requiring those. Specific to firefighters, you know, they're ready to serve around the community wherever they're needed. This is what they train for, and they're happy to be serving a community to help out. And the hope is that we can make really good progress on this today, and weather conditions will work in our favor, but being cautious that we don't lose any more structures and no lives are threatened. To the point of lives being threatened, I want to just talk with level evacuations that it's really important that people heed those level 3 evacuations. That means go. The Sheriff's Office has been doing a really good job at putting stuff out. You'll see on their Facebook page, and they've been personally out there making sure everybody's aware of where the fire is moving and whether they're in the path. So please stay tuned to those closures that are coming through them. And again, heed those, because those are for their benefit and the firefighters' safety, because they want to be focused on the structures and working on the fire, and not have to you know, do a rescue situation if it's unnecessary.
Can you talk about the terrain where they're fighting it? I mean, is it like with the Long Hollow fire, it was down kind of in that canyon and you couldn't even really get to it. I mean, that's why they had to do the back berm. So what's the difference? Or I don't know if you can speak to that at all, or something else.
Yeah, I'm going to defer that one just because they've been out here longer than we have working it, so they're going to be a little more comfortable with that.
For the homes that are being burned,
yeah.
What kind of things are the crews doing?
Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're first going to go out and triage structures, look at what defensible space they have. Then they're going to be working to either, whether it's a back burn out from the structure or to clear out brush and debris. They're going to try and make that a fire-safe home, so that if the fire does move that way, it's got the best chance of being protected. And so they're working and patrolling throughout the community to look at where homes are. Even last night, we had our fire marshal out on the road, and he was looking to see what structures he was concerned about. And he had identified a couple, and then we're putting crews in those places to have the best chance to save somebody's home that we know means a lot to them. As far as conditions and fuel types here, I'm going to turn it over to Christy.
Christy Shaw with the Department of Forestry. So a lot of what we see kind of surrounding here, it's a mix. The area of origin, move this a little closer. Area of origin here is kind of a mix of some grassy slopes, some ponderosa pine mixed with some of the oak that you'll see. They're kind of short little draws and things like that. As it moved this way, we get more into the mix of the wheat fields, the wheat stubble, and especially as we move across here, and also some of the areas that haven't been used for crop production in recent times. And so it's a kind of a flashy fuel, and fire moves through very quickly. Yesterday, as the fire was being pushed by the wind, we saw that it was spotting ahead of itself, and so that makes it move even faster as it kind of continues to leapfrog over itself. in there. They were able to use the retardant along the flanks. The front part, because of it pushing itself ahead, had a pretty good smoke column over the front of and the head of the fire, so they weren't able to use aircraft in that area because they couldn't navigate through the smoke in there. As far as today, we are expecting, while it's calm here right now, the Dalles was extremely windy. We continue to be in a red flag warning for wind. So we expect those winds to kick in, which you'll see that the smoke here means it's, kind of good conditions, not windy. We'll see that push out likely and see that wind go ahead and push and try to push the fire again against the lines that we've already established. So today firefighters will be working to really secure, especially this line here where there's some dozer and hand line in there. They're going to be pushing the fire back in those areas, trying to establish that as a hard perimeter in there. And especially this burnout here, so the Long Hollow fire was kind of in this area. This burnout tied this part of the fire into Long Hollow, so secures that piece. They're going to continue. I'm not sure they quite completed as much as they're going to, but they're working through that today. We have lots of additional resources en route. Arriving. It's going to be kind of a rolling arrival today as resources departed from various areas and are on their way here. We will have the same full complement of aircraft available today as needed, and that's really a decision made by the incident commander as far as what's needed, what's the best resource to be used. The Department of Forestry is mobilizing an incident management team as well, and they will be in-briefed and then taking command of the fire later today. They'll be in unified command with the State Fire Marshal's office, and so we'll be working jointly to kind of get the right people in the right places to do the right thing out here.
Christy, yesterday there was a statement put out saying that with the higher humidity overnight, the lighter winds may help make some progress. Was that a success for the firefighters who are out there?
So we like to take advantage of nighttime firefighting in that that's usually the case. The fire behavior moderates, and so you're able to, rather than really kind of working the back and the heel and around flanking that part, you're able to get further around along on the flanks. We did see that in that they were able to do the burnout, which is typically a nighttime operation because we can control the fire better. In that situation, it's a lower intensity fire that, less risk of it getting outside of the area that we want it to be in. So this was really successful. That was one of the things they took advantage of last night. Basically they burned the fuel that was between the actual head of the fire and the black from Long Hollow. So they were able to keep that as their kind of their boundary by using Long Hollow with it.
Cross shelter.
Is it open now?
I understood that.
Okay, so there is a Red Cross shelter open at the Dalles Middle School for anybody who has been displaced. And also on the Sheriff's Facebook page, they have a list of people who need to be evacuating animals, livestock, and that kind of thing. There's various numbers listed of folks. Lots of people were willing to take things in, animals in, so that's available there as well. And then also a recent update this morning is that Highway 197, the Department of Transportation, reopened 197 for travel. There is still going to be firefighting activities along 197, and there's always the potential that it could be closed or intermittently closed, but right now it's open to travel.
Just some housekeeping stuff. Can you actually see the fire from 197? Like, is there any vantage point where you can see it burning?
Well, it's hard to say because last night you could see fire right here, is my understanding, but now you can't. So it's just I'm not sure where the active part of the fire is, other than we know that this is kind of the area that we're really focusing as far as the active part. We're trying to really strengthen lines along the flanks and secure that area.
To those who have been evacuated under the level 3, or those who could face it later on today, what's your message to those people?
So one of the messages that I usually try to tell everybody is that, I hope everyone out there who lives in these types of communities and these fuels, you're always at a level 1. You're always kind of prepared to evacuate because we never know where a fire start is going to occur. And so always kind of be ready to go. And that means kind of thinking through that process of what would you take with you? Is that readily available? Those kind of things. And then again, I want to kind of reiterate what Stefan already said is please follow those evacuation orders. We don't want to have to worry about you and your family in a situation. We want to be able to focus our efforts on fighting the fire and doing what we need to do and what we're trained to do, rather than, as Stefan said, a rescue operation of trying to make sure that your family and you are safe.
Is there any chance the initial people who were evacuated, like at the start of the fire, could be back home today?
That's really a conversation that occurs with the sheriff's office. They're the ones who implement evacuation orders, and they'll work with our incident commanders and operations folks to determine whether they're safe in the location after the burn has gone through. The one thing that you'll see that's different in this fire versus a lot of what we saw in Long Hollow and even the substation fire is we have more of the larger fuels that are going to be holding fire and heat and flame and smoldering longer. It's not just the flashy grasses that have burned through and then the fire's gone. The areas, especially in here where we see the timber stringers and things like that, where that's burned, that's going to hold more heat and has more potential for kicking something out, especially in a really windy condition, kicking something outside the fire line, which then we have to basically deal with a spot fire and try to manage.
Is there a potential at this point that this could run into the burn scars where the other fire was last week?
So this right here has already, or because of the burnout that we did, has already tied into there. We hope that we're able to basically kind of keep it. This is a rough estimate of where the fire is based on like some known points. Our goal is to try to keep it inside that perimeter. Again, we're facing high winds. We're also looking at the the fuel conditions that are out there. So if we see that wind picking up embers and spotting out, then that creates that challenging condition of where we're trying to stay ahead of the fire with it.
And you can see the substation in relation to South Valley fire?
I don't know exactly where substation is in relationship to this fire based on this map itself.
It's not really in that one.
I think it's off, yeah. So Long Hollow is the big one here. South of here we have Boxcar as well as you head towards Moffin. So, eventually it does run out of fuel for it to burn based on the other fires that have occurred.
I've had a lot of viewer questions about, I think it's called Camp Baldwin, Boy Scouts camp. Is that impacted in any way?
I know where that is.
I don't know exactly where it is. I'm familiar with sort of.
So the question was, is Camp Baldwin impacted in any way? I drove by Camp Baldwin on my way here last night. It's from this point, it's up the 44 road west of here, probably another 10 miles or more. The wind is not blowing that direction. It is west of here. The wind will be pushing the fire to the southeast. I don't have any concerns about it. The team doesn't have concerns about that at this point. So yeah, I would be comfortable with my son being there. So.
Any other follow-up at this point?
When's the next update expected?
I don't know that we have a plan for that. It's really going to be kind of conditional, based on what occurs with the fire and what we see the need for. Obviously, we're trying to be responsive to what you guys are hearing from your viewers and trying to make sure that we're getting them the information, getting you the information so that you can get them the information and providing it out. As the fire changes or tactics or anything like that changes, then we're going to try to make sure that we're relaying that to you guys.